Hi guys, Dominic Manali here, sports scientist, and we're back this week with a video to help people that maybe just are a little bit older, kind of feel like they want to get some weight training done for the first time. And here's a way in which that you can do that. And I'm going to go through a couple of different exercises to get you started on that. So let's get started with a little bit of mobility around rolling out your thighs and your glutes. This comes up, I'm bringing this up, I should say, because most people will talk about how their knees are an issue or their back is an issue. If you're not rolling your thighs and you're not getting that little ball there in on those glutes, you may forget about what I'm going to do after this, because it's not really going to make a massive difference, because the quality of those muscles are going to really determine what's going to happen with those knees and the lower back. So you can always use that ball up against the wall. You'll pick up a ball like that even in a pet shop, a hard rubber ball. You can use it in on the glutes and that'll free up the glute area, so the glutes can help with stabilizing at the knee and with the lower back. Okay, so just make sure you do your mobility work around those two big areas. Okay, if you want to check what's going on the hip, if that knee is poking up like this, you definitely have issues around the hip mobility. You really need to work on loosening that area out a little bit more, but then also strengthening, which we do cover in this video. So use this kind of sitting test like that and just really work on trying to get that knee down to get a bit more range in that hip area. So using your band to begin with, let's just strengthen those glutes. And we do what's called an X-band walk. So we just loop the band around the feet. The feet never come together. Do about 5 steps over, 5 step back twice. That way you get 10 reps in. Think about pushing with the heel and not pushing out with your toe. And remember, the feet never come together. If the feet come together, the band will just get really, really stiff and it's very, very difficult to use. So just keep the feet apart slightly. And that's a really easy way of strengthening the glutes from a standing position. We pop on down to strengthen up the upper back. There is no other way to strengthen the upper back other than using a band. Now, you've got two options here. This is option number one to strengthen the back. Really stick the chest out and pull those shoulders back. Now, if you're looking at this going, I can't get down on the ground, no bother. Come up to a standing position. I'm just going to do it kneeling here, but this can be done standing. And then do a band pull apart like this. Stick the chest out, pull the arms apart, keep the arms straight, and then do your band pull aparts for about 8 to 15 reps. And it's the same on the previous exercise, about 8 to 15 reps, okay? From there, we're going to strengthen up the legs a little bit, the thighs. Start with a squat. So everybody can squat onto a chair, onto the toilet. Very important to be able to do this. Let the knees ride out a little bit. So the knees should naturally push out. They shouldn't drop in like that, okay? Let the knees ride out a little bit. Sit down into it. If you really struggle with the squat, just put your bum up against the wall and then just hold a squat with your bum against the wall to begin with, okay? Working on the core next. Go into a push-up position with your hands on a box, bench, a chair, and then just lift one leg if you can. If keeping the legs on the floor is hard enough for you to begin with, start with that. But again, we want to give you a core exercise where you can, let's say, take the leg off like that to work in on the core. Go wider if you want, but keep the pelvis tucked so that way your back doesn't overarch. And we want to do a core exercise where you don't have to be getting up and down off the floor, okay? Bit of work for the guns, the arms, the biceps. So working your biceps, again, with your band. Again, if you use something like people will say, hey, use a pair of cans. That's not going to work for the biceps. It's just not going to be enough overload. So you just do need a band to strengthen up the arms. If you have a small pair of dumbbells that'll give you a little bit of resistance, then absolutely go for those. But if you're able to do something like 15 or 30 reps with the weights, then it's probably far too light. You just need a little bit more resistance. Now, let me just fetch a light pair of dumbbells. Here's where a pair of cans or 2 bags of rice, bag of rice in each hand, can actually come in handy with strengthen up those shoulders. Again, you'll notice a lot of what we've done here is from a standing position. You don't need to be getting up and down off the ground too much. And we're doing a lateral raise out to the side and a frontal raise to the front. You want about 8 in each direction. So front and side. You should feel a nice little burn going on the shoulders, okay? So there we go. We got some work for the shoulders, work for the upper back, work for the glutes, work for the thighs, bit of work for the core. Now stretch the upper back by putting your hands on the wall, stick your bum back as far as you can and push the head in between the arms. A lot of people's shoulders are very tight, so doing some extension into the upper back is very, very important. Also from there, just pull the arm across the body, look over the shoulder. And again, we're working on these kind of common areas that I see people are quite tight in. Also a bit of work for the neck. Put your hand on one side of a chair, box, a bench, and then gently pull the head over to one side. So if you have your hand on one side, that'll anchor your shoulder down and you'll get a nice stretch into the neck there as well. So just gentle when you do these. lean into it a little bit and get a bit of work in on the neck in that position as well. It's just a common area that a lot of people are tight in. One last one, if you can't do that on your thighs, then again, the front of the pelvis is being pulled forward. So you might need to reach down and do this, but it's going to tell me a lot about what's going on with the hips. You need to be able to do that. If it's an issue, roll your thighs more and get working on that. As you get better, you should be able to do this. This can be done on a chair, a box, a bench, and we've covered that on week 1 of the mobility work.